To be brutally honest with you, next month when the Oscars take off, I'm not going to be thinking Oscar so white or Oscar no black. I'm going to be thinking Oscar no chubby or Oscar doesn't have a beer belly. Think about it. All the male nominees, I have no one to relate to. Leo DiCaprio has been one of the most handsome men in Hollywood for 20, 30 years. Tom Hardy has muscles on muscles on muscles. Maybe Eddie Redmayne with his mutilated penis. It's called method acting, people. You know, if you're going to play a transgender person, might as well fill the role completely. Feel sorry for his wife, kind of, but you know what? That's how dedicated he is to the role. Unfortunately, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith won't be there. Nothing like star power well past their prime not showing up to the Academy Awards. We're really going to miss you, Will. You and your terrible, awful accent from Concussion. Did anyone see that movie? I don't feel like anybody saw it anyway, so what does it matter? If anyone should be upset, it's the Hispanic community. I mean, all they got is Alejandro Iñárritu for The Revenant. Benicio and Oscar Isaac, nowhere to be seen, which is a load of hockey because those are two guys that just killed it this year. No doubt about that. So yeah, anyways, welcome to the Ramble On. This is episode 9 or 8. 9? 8? Let's call it 8B. This is basically a sister piece to last week's episode. Last week got a little serious with some stuff, talking about Transparent and Big Short and financial crisis and all that stuff. This week we're going to talk even more serious stuff, like Oscar so white and Hollywood so white. How white is Hollywood, do you ask? Well, considering that I watched a movie recently where a white actress plays an Asian person, let's just say Hollywood's so white. Or another movie where a white person is terrible. The first movie I'll talk about, I'll just kind of throw it out there, get it out of the way. The Cameron Crowe, well past his prime Cameron Crowe. Go away, Cameron, stick to TV. Or don't make movies anymore. Aloha, which should mean goodbye, which does. Essentially, Aloha now means goodbye Cameron Crowe, because his career in Hollywood is next to gone. This man gave us one of the best movies of the aughts in Almost Famous. He gave us a classic in Jerry Maguire, and also wrote the script and the story to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You'd think he'd have some interesting stories to tell. Lo and behold, the man has run out. Between Elizabethtown, which was a Garden State knockoff, and now Aloha, it's like the man doesn't seem to have anything interesting to say anymore. If you're curious what Aloha is, it's White People Problems, the movie, in a beautiful, beautiful setting. Bradley Cooper is a private contractor, goes back to Hawaii to figure something out with the military, him and his boss Bill Murray. Runs into his ex-lady love, Rachel McAdams, who's married to John Krasinski, and runs into the ever-so-Asian Emma Stone. Emma Stone! That was really bad. And here I thought I was going to avoid racist jokes today, but just seems to come up. Emma Stone plays a character with the surname Ng. N-G. Ng. That girl is about as white could be, and you're telling me that she's supposed to convincingly be a... Thanks a lot, Cameron Crowe. Stick to what you know. Music, movies, or something. Which seems to be his next project. He's doing a made-for-TV movie about roadies or something. So that should be exciting. Or not. It'll probably suck. The way that his track record's going this last 10, 15 years, not much on his side, so, yeah, whatever. So Aloha, Bradley Cooper sad because Rachel McAdams has a husband, or not, scratch that, he doesn't care. This movie was boring. I don't even remember what happened. They have a kid together, which something, and John Krasinski, which everyone knows from The Office, the man is best known for being a quick talker, is playing a character strictly that doesn't talk. He doesn't say anything. It's a pain in the ass, really. It's one of those movies where, you watch those movies where all people have to do is really just talk it out, just real quick. Hey, I'm sad. You're a bitch. I suck. Things along those lines. I have to have that conversation with my wife all the time. I have to tell Nicole how much I suck every day. And I am fascinatingly lucky to have her in my life. And she still gets mad at me because I shouldn't say that, I guess. But it's like white people. It's this white people problems. The movie, rich white people worried about relationship issues. It's really unfortunate that this didn't get nominated for Best Picture because it seems to be the track record that they're going for, or what kind of movies these old white folks want to watch. It's a Lifetime mom movie, if you will. This is the kind of movie that your mom would watch, or if you have a mother that doesn't like quality films, it would say, "Oh, well, that was nice. It all worked out in the end. Everyone was happy. Everyone gets their lady, and boy loves and this. Ooh, not boy loves. Excuse me. Ooh, that's a different movie. Everyone gets their loved one in the end. Good news, everybody. Bradley Cooper ends up with his Asian Pacific Islander Emma Stone. Rachel McAdams doesn't have to get a divorce again, and their kids can smile. Hooray, smiling white people." Now that I think about it, I don't think there was a person of color in that movie. It's like a Nancy Meyer movie all over again. And we've talked about our problems with Nancy Meyer movies before on previous episodes. This is no different. Man, it wasn't even... Oh, there was... Okay, never mind. Excuse me. There was Pacific Islanders in the movie. So, a slight shade darker, if you will, than what you're expecting in a movie about white people problems. Except for Emma Stone. She's very white. This week's episode of the Ramble On will probably feature movies that were on the lower scale of quality in 2015. Last week, talking about some of the better things in film and TV, The Big Short and Transparent and You're the Worst. This week, it's what bad stuff can we watch that we can talk about. Obviously, not every movie is bad. I mean, this isn't like a B-grade film by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, you have a competent director overseeing it, so, cinematography looks nice. Obviously, they film Hawaii beautifully, so at least it looked nice. The acting was fine. It's just one of those things that you wish that they had more substance and more depth to their characters instead of, I'm a sad white person who's having relationship problems. I guess there's a place for it. Not a lot of people saw it. It bombed terribly, which goes without saying, as these movies do anymore, because no one gives a shit. They were doing the Adam Sandler approach, where they just went to Hawaii for a quick 3-month vacation while they stood in front of cameras and pretended to be other people. Yeah, this movie sucks. I think it's on HBO now. If you want to waste 90 to 100 minutes watching white people hide their problems, I mean, yeah, sure, feel free. Go ahead, watch away. I wouldn't. These are the things that I do for the 12 people that listen to the Ramble On. I watch shitty movies like Aloha or Alamo or whatever the hell it was called, amongst other movies. Oh God, this is going to be a rough episode. I already feel myself getting an ulcer just thinking about what I have to talk about. Speaking of ulcers, you know who causes ulcers worse than anybody? Kevin James. Chris Farley's dead. Can we just leave it at that? Do we need another Chris Farley? We've had one. He was a legend. We've had these guys that were big guys that were inherently funny, let alone could they do a good pratfall and everything, but Kevin James, oh God, ugh, oof. Why did I watch this movie? Oh, man, I just hate myself, I guess. I also watched Paul Blart Mall Blart Blah 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 2. Yes. I watched Paul Blart Mall Cop Blah 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 2. Like, honestly, if you want to torture yourself in how not to do a comedy and also make yourself sick to your stomach, watch Paul Blart. I never saw the first one. If the second one is any indication, I only considered suicide about 10 times during the movie. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to describe. Okay, so imagine you're walking down the park and you see a fat kid. That's it. That's the joke. That's essentially the joke in Paul Blart Mall Blarp too. It's just, look, this guy's fat. Isn't that funny? Are you laughing? I'm seriously asking. Are you all laughing at the idea of a fat person? I usually do, and that's more often than not when I look in the mirror. But yeah. Oh, Kevin James, you are welcome. I think also it might be I'm giving him a lot more attention than I probably should. People are starting to ignore Adam Sandler finally, which is nice. Except for all those assholes that went on Netflix and watched The Ridiculous Six 30 million plus times in 3 weeks. Like, honestly, why do people? Okay. So Paul Blart Mall Blarp 2. Paul Blart gets a notification that he's going to be the keynote speaker at some convention in Las Vegas. And his daughter is getting into UCLA. So, good for both of them. He goes to Las Vegas, and stuff happens. I can't say what. I can't remember. I know that there was some sort of thing people were trying to do. For what it's worth, I wasn't a huge fan of The Hateful Eight. I can still give you the full plot line of Hateful Eight with no problems at all. And I didn't even like that movie, but it was memorable, and it was worth my time, you know? I mean, all 3 hours of it. But it was generally worth my time compared to this tripe. Neil McDonough, which you all have seen in a lot of stuff. The guy's been around a bit. He's Minority Report, and he was in Captain America: The First Avenger, been in and out on Justified. He's a talented dude, and it just fascinates me that he had nothing better to do. He does this movie. He's got a plot to steal a bunch of art from the Wyndham Hotel, I think they were at. We can't get real cops in there. We have to get a bunch of mall security. I don't think I laughed once. I think I got more angry than anything. I don't like getting angry at movies. It's different if it's like Christoph Waltz from Inglourious Bastards or if there's something like that. You know, then it's like, yeah, I'm not getting angry because the movie sucks. I'm getting angry because those characters are just so fascinating and interesting and intricate, and there's so much depth to them that you're just like, fuck you, dude. Whereas this movie, there are people who thought that this stuff was funny, and they thought it was creative and interesting. I don't know how I'm going to go to the interwebs and see how much this movie was made for, because honestly, man, I have no expertise in film and how to actually make movies. I've pointed a camera at stuff. Not very good, but I'm pretty sure this movie was made for somewhere around $30 to $40 million, which is just embarrassing. And most of that probably went to Kevin James and paying off the Wyndham to film there. $30 million was the estimated budget. You give me $30 million, I have about 8 ideas that I could do that would be exponentially better than this. Some of it funny, some of it serious, what have you, but at least it would be interesting in some capacity. The whole thing about Paul Blart is that it's supposed to be like, look how funny it is. He's so serious about mall copping. It's not funny. That's a tough job. People need work. Am I supposed to disrespect somebody because they're doing a menial job below a cop? No, man. These are hard times we're in. The economy's bullshit. We need to support these people. Instead, we're sitting here laughing at them for no other reason than just because they might be fat or something. This movie's obnoxious. Good thing I watched better stuff. Like Meet the Patels. That was a fun movie. You guys have seen this guy before, Raji Patel. He's showed up in a few comedies and everything. He's an actor. He does stand-up and everything. It's on Netflix. It's kind of a pseudo-documentary about the guy. About him introducing his family to his white girlfriend when he's very much involved in the Indian culture. They call it a real-life romantic comedy. So, like that right there, you know, I feel like they might be calling it a documentary, which I don't think it is, but it's still a fun little movie. Save your minutes. If you're going to spend 90 minutes watching something, there's tons of stuff. You can watch that. Shit, if you want to, spend less than 90 minutes watching some people struggle with sexual identity as a married couple, watch The Overnight, starring Adam Scott and Taylor Schilling from Orange is the New Black and Jason Schwartzman and some French chick and prosthetic penises. That's always fun. Everyone loves prosthetic penises. Especially Jason Schwartzman, I'm sure, is loving it. As a Jewish guy, as he is, as he is in real life, I'm sure he appreciated the prosthetic giving him about 3 or 4 inches that the doctor took off when he was born. Poor Adam Scott, though. I think my chapstick is actually bigger than what his prosthetic was. The Overnight is about Taylor Schilling and Adam Scott and their young 4 or 5 year old son moved to LA, moving from wherever they moved to, and they happen to run into Jason Schwartzman and his son at the park. They all meet to welcome Scott and Schilling to town, and shit gets weird. They go to the pool, there's this, there's that. They go to a Thai massage parlor. That's awkward. As expected, there is a happy ending. It's a weird movie. It's definitely something different. What you're used to seeing from the likes of Adam Scott, at least. Mostly because he has a micro penis. And that's like his confidence deter is the fact that he's very, very small. I call that, going back to Aloha, I just call those white problems again. Well, we'll save that one for another day. That'll be the after hours ramble on that we'll talk about that stuff. The Overnight, it's only, like 78 minutes or something like that. It's a silly little indie comedy. It's a mumblecore film. It's produced by the Duplass brothers. If you like their stuff, it's worth checking out. It's another Netflix feature. It's worth checking out if you want to give it the 78 minutes. That's 78 better minute. You can watch The Overnight, and you can watch a YouTube video in the same amount of time that you could have wasted watching Paul Blart Mall Blarb. So yeah, do that. Shit, man, you can watch it. You can watch The Overnight and then an episode of like the regular show or Adventure Time in the same amount of time that it would take you to watch Paul Blueby. I would recommend doing that. Yeah, do that instead. You're definitely getting a lot more laughs watching those two different features, two different styles of comedy done by much more creative people. Oh, Paul Blart. I'm still angry about it. Oh, I'll get past it. There are more important things in the world. That was Sony's highest grossing movie for most of their year, by the way. So take that for what it is. Good job, Sony. You did it. You made us all hate PlayStation that much. I feel like turning my PlayStation off. I don't even want to play it anymore. I don't want to own one. I'm going to throw it out the window. Ugh. Speaking of sexual frustration, this might be the prime time movie discussion of the day. Have you ever watched something and then just wondered? You just have that face. You just have that look on your face like, why did I do this? What got into my head that I just needed to sit here for close to 2 hours or more and watch this? It's like the first time that I watched the Hulk Hogan porno. I had to watch it twice. The first time being just like, this is just fascinatingly disgusting. Then you have to watch it the second time to make sure that you are watching Hulk Hogan do a porno and not a 4th of July wrinkled hot dog, which is still the same thing. That was my facial expression the whole time that I watched Oscar-nominated... The Oscars mean nothing anymore. Oscar-nominated 50 Shades of Grey. Yep, I did it, and I hurt myself the whole time. Not from BDSM, I wasn't flogging myself or anything. Just emotionally, I was dying every second that film clicked by. Nothing really happens in that movie. So all 3 movies, stuff happens, but nothing really happens. It's like watching the first Thor movie. Actually, watching both Thor movies. Thor is just a terrible character. There's really nothing there. But you think about Inside Llewyn Davis, and it's generally plotless. Just a guy bouncing around from interaction to interaction, playing guitar and playing a song. If you could do something interesting with your characters, do something interesting with your story, even though it's pretty plotless, if you can do something with it, then great. Aloha and Paul Blub and 50 Shades, they all have plots, I guess, but nothing really. I mean, they're just generally boring plots. There's nothing to them. It's just Oscar's so white and Hollywood's so white, people. Nothing but white problems that we're supposed to relate to. Jesus Christ. So 50 Shades talks about, I mean, you all know that, I figured you all kind of have a general consensus of the story. Girl meets guy doesn't like girl or something, girl is infatuated, they stare, I think the guy sparkles a little bit. It was Twilight, right? Is that what we're talking about? It's generally the same thing. 50 Shades was Twilight fan fiction. And, okay, that's another thing. Nicole and I had to go to Maryland, and she might get really mad at me for announcing this, but she's reading the 50 Shades trilogy by E.L. James, the non-author who wrote all three books. And it was just so funny to sit next to her on the plane. And I'm listening to a couple podcasts and kind of reading articles. And I look over and see that she's reading it. So I'd read a couple sentences and she'd be like, "Don't read this book," over my shoulder, which is understandably rude. So first off, I'm being an asshole right there. But then also, she didn't want me reading it because it's absolute, complete, ridiculous garbage. Like, I think I wrote better papers in 7th grade than what this book had to offer to its readers. About halfway on our trip back to Texas, she's reading through the second one, and she looks over at me, and she just throws her hands up in the air on the plane, and she just says, what the hell? What the hell am I doing? So much contradiction to these characters. It's just, do this, oh no, don't do that. It's so much contradiction to everything that they do. Like, that doesn't make drama, that makes you a bad writer. The fact that this book series has sold millions upon millions of copies, when you have authors that are still struggling to make it, I should call this episode the episode of exasperation, because it's just absolutely fascinating that this stuff exists, or these people, or these writers exist, you know? It's embarrassing. So anyways, Christian Grey meets Anna Steele, and they bang, and she's a virgin, and apparently they have perfect, clean, flawless sex the first time, which leads into her doing it all the time now, and they break up or something, and then they get back together again, and he wants her to sign a contract so that he could lovingly whip her and everything. The 40-year-old moms that read this shit and get hot about it should really find some real BDSM online. I mean, I can recommend a few websites. Not that I've gone to them, of course. I'm not into that kind of stuff. It's because they get real hardcore with that shit. You want to hear some girls talk about the disgusting, depraved shit they got to get into? The amateur porn documentary, Hot Girls Wanted, on Netflix, kind of talks about that, where after a while you get stuck doing the kinky BDSM stuff that's embarrassing and can be more painful than they want it to be, obviously. You can find that shit online. Just out of curiosity, as Nicole's reading this book, in the first one, I was like, well, did any good stuff happen in the first one? She's like, no. I was like, okay, well, and I asked her in the second one, is there any kinky shit that everyone's getting all excited about? She's like, kind of, but it's like 3 sentences long, and then they move on to the next plot point, or quote-unquote plot point. Like, what? I mean, do some research then. If you really want to get people jonesing for your stuff, if you really want to get people excited to sell your books about a guy who's into bondage and shit, then do some research on what you need to, how sick and twisted it needs to be. Don't give the ladies 3 sentences of, she bent over, I whipped her, and then we went to sleep. Come on, man. Come on, man. Ay, ay, ay. I will give it some credit. It is much like the Twilight series. I don't think it's the filmmaker's fault as much as it is the original author's story. That goes without saying. The director of this movie is a generally talented person. Sam Taylor Johnson, married to Aaron Taylor Johnson, has done some. She's done at least one good movie. Nowhere Boy, the John Lennon movie, came out back in 2009. So never mind. I was giving her too much credit. Never mind. I mean, she's generally fine, I guess, as a director. The actors seemed bored. And apparently they hate each other too, which is funny. Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan don't like each other, so they were using a lot of body doubles on reverse shots. Which that's hilarious to me. Like, I don't know. Instead of Jamie Dornan, we could have had Jax from Sons of Anarchy, which I'm sure right now he's just like, thank goodness I didn't do that shit. Instead, he did Crimson Peak, which is generally a more creative movie than this tripe. I'm not even going to call it filth, because nothing filthy happens. I don't even get the sense that anything filthy is going to happen in the next one. I feel like it's just going to be a lot more bullshit of 2 people whining at each other, and it's just people. Today's episode is hashtag white people problems. First world white people problems. I don't use hashtags, but I like to say it. Hashtag white people problems. We're going to make this one burn for a long time. The Oscars can be so white, so can my podcast. Yeah, man. 50 Shades of Grey. Like, go to YouPorn or X videos or something. You'll find better stuff there, and you'll only have to waste 10 minutes to see it instead of almost 2 hours. Ugh. That movie made so much goddamn money. The movie, I think it made like 200, 300, 400, 500 million dollars or something like that. And people wonder why we don't want Hillary Clinton in the White House. It's because she saw 50 Shades of Grey 3 times. I mean, I at least saw Star Wars 3 times. It's at least a decent movie. I've seen a lot of movies multiple times, and at least they were quality films. But ugh, damn Hillary, liking her 50 Shades of Grey. Probably the best sex life that she's had in years. But I don't want to get political today. I got political last week, kind of, or 2 weeks ago. So yeah, 50 Shades, if you are sad and desperate or have nothing better to do and don't know how to do an internet search, or you're in a relationship and don't want to get in trouble for Googling naughty things, then see 50 Shades of Grey. Can't even say that Dakota Johnson looked good. She looked awkward. I felt bad for her. Not because she was doing like BDSM or anything. I just generally felt like she didn't want to be there. And now she's committed to 2 more movies. Oh, poor her. That's gonna suck. Is there any way we can stop these movies from coming out? Whatever. At least Gone Girl didn't have a sequel. And we're not even getting the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Millennium Trilogy. We're not even getting those next 2 movies because David Fincher doesn't like doing, sequels, and Rooney Mara's too busy being a busy and talented actor. So, it's always the amazing thing. E.L. James writes books. Tommy Wiseau makes movies and TV shows. Transformers is getting another movie. I'm just fascinated by the people that like some stuff. Different strokes, I guess, different tastes. But that's everyone else's problem. Oscar So White. I don't know what people expect. Didn't 12 Years a Slave just win a couple years ago? It's not the right thing to say or compare. That doesn't really fit. We just gave him the Best Picture. Because of everyone's, problems with diversity and the racial issues, people were calling that just a guilt trip movie that they gave Best Picture because it was about, a black slave and everything. But then I see that movie, and a lot of people have, and I mean, it's a quality film done by a black director. It's a good movie. I hate people. I don't think I've said that before. I probably have. People really irritate me with this shit. It's understandable. I get it. We've had 40 acting nominations the last 2 years. All of them have gone to white people, which is, ridiculous. It goes beyond just nominating black person or Hispanic person or Asian or whatever. It really comes down to what kind of roles are they given. I mean, Jesus Christ, Emma Stone is as lily white as you can get, and she's playing an Asian girl. You couldn't find any hot Asians? You can find those online. You just go to YouPorn or X videos or... Okay, sorry. Wrong way that one went. There are some beautiful Asian actresses you could have found to fill that role with no problems, but instead, Hollywood be white. Hollywood so white. Hashtag Hollywood so white. It's complete bullshit. Everyone was saying like Straight Outta Compton or Creed, and I definitely agree with Creed. I think Coogler or Michael B. Jordan could have been, considered. Or Benicio del Toro for Sicario, which he was fantastic in that movie. Oscar Isaac in Ex Machina, which Ex Machina did get, a lot of nominations, which was fun to see. One of my favorites of the year. There were roles that could have taken it. I mean, I would have taken out Eddie Redmayne for the Danish Girl. I haven't seen the movie, but it just, like, that movie just seems so formulaic. It seems like all Tom Hooper does anymore is just trying to make those Oscar bait films ever since he did The King's Speech and Les Mis and now The Danish Girl. And he makes the movies that are made strictly to have a gold statue, attached to its name at the end of the year. Some directors are able to kind of push the envelope where they can be, they can make a lot of money while also being awards movies. I mean, look at Mad Max. No, I don't think anybody figured that Mad Max would gain the second most noms this year, and that was just a well constructed action movie. I don't think I've met anybody or talked to many people who did not like Mad Max Fury Road. I said at the beginning of the show, Oscar's no schlub. I'm sitting here recording for y'all, drinking a beer, got my beer belly and my little small T-shirt, kind of chubbing out here on the couch. I see nobody in the Oscar, acting nominations that represents me. It is nice seeing so many nominations going to the Irish, though. So I got that going for me. But until Kevin James gets nominated, no Oscars for me. I'm boycotting it for Oscar no beer belly. Is that what I'm going for? Oscar no beer belly? I think that's what I'm going for. Give me an actor with a big old beer gut and I'm down. That's my guy. That'll never happen. If he ain't got a pair of six-pack abs and chiseled like the gods. Granted, Eddie Redmayne's kind of wimpy looking. That's probably why he's in the new Harry Potter movie. That was funny. So, yeah, Oscar's so white, folks. And we'd have it no other way. They're going to make a colored category. Best colored actor, best colored actress. They're really going to get weird with it. I think that's my thing. I don't want to just give nominations just to give to... I mean, and I don't give them, obviously. I have no say in what gets nominated. But I feel like, understandably, you bring up the diversity issue. From now on, it's going to feel like you're just nominating just to nominate, even though they might not be as good. And then you're going to argue, well, they kind of sucked in the role. Idris Elba definitely should have been nominated for Beast of No Nation. He wasn't because Hollywood's old farts Hollywood that doesn't understand Netflix and the online streaming process. So they gave nothing to Beast because of that, which I think is stupid. Creed didn't really petition at all, which that whole 4-year consideration thing is dumb too. So there are a lot of movies out there that probably could have gotten some sort of love in some capacity. I don't know, man. It just seems like now, from here on out, because of the issue, and we all might forget it after the ceremony's over, I don't know, unless Chris Rock goes hard on it, but I'm sure that he will. But I think the issue is that now anytime that a black actor or a Hispanic actress or an Asian actress or actor gets nominated, then it's just going to be, they did because we want to make sure that the Oscars are diverse. I think that's more racist than not nominating them at all. You racist bastards. Leave the racism to us folks in Texas. We know how the game works. We're still letting Mexicans in for some reason. I'm just kidding. I love you, Omar. The Rock needs to get nominated. Think about it. He's half black, half Samoan. Like, you're knocking out 2 nationalities right there. And also, he's just generally awesome. I mean, he's The Rock. The Rock Johnson. So that's what I'm going to leave it at today. Let's get Dwayne The Rock Johnson a nomination for the Oscar. Let's petition for him, Best Supporting Actor, to fill someone's position for Furious 7. Or what else did he star in? Hercules. We'll get him a lead actor role in Hercules. Or what's he doing next? Who cares? He's probably going to be at the Royal Rumble tomorrow night. We're going to get him a Best Supporting nom for Royal Rumble 2016. Can you dig it? Wait, that was Booker T. If you smell what Dwayne is cooking. There you go. That's what we'll do. Hashtag Rocky Oscar. But then they'll think I'm talking about Sylvester Stallone, which is not what I want to do. Whatever. So, Rocky Johnson. We're going to get him an Oscar. Tracy Jordan on 30 Rock can win one. So can The Rock. So that's been our ramble on today, folks. We're going to get The Rock an Oscar. We're going to avoid seeing 50 Shades and Paul Blart. And we're going to watch the Oscars and just laugh at how white they are. So thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out next time when hopefully maybe I'll get more people on. We got to get my boy Matt on. He's been chomping at the bit. Matt, I started watching The Take with Tom Hardy. I'm digging it, man. I'm digging it. It's good stuff. Also I watched Rashomon, the Akira Kurosawa movie. It's brilliant. So yeah, see, I'm trying to push the crap out of my mind with quality stuff. So hit us up on the Facebook machine or the Twitter handles or the Instagrams. Thanks for listening, everybody. we'll check you next time on the Ramble On. And from all of us here at Two Rambling Men, I say bye.